Hey there, I'm back again. This is Amy Esparza. If you're seeing this video, that means that you have already found my latest post on my blog. I have changed the name of my blog, which you should see in the top. It is the leadership shift. And so I felt like that was just going to be more all-encompassing of all the things that I plan to share there on my blog. Today I'm going to be sharing my reaction and some commentary to the book Leadership, Communication, Social Influence by Rubin and Gigliotti. And so I'm going to go ahead and share some of just the highlights that you're going to be reading more about in my blog. So I'm going to just start with just a few of my takeaways from that, and hope that you will not only just read the rest through my blog, but also pick up a copy of this. For anybody who is trying to get into leadership, all of the things that I plan to share with you, whether it be through my blog or the newsletter, which you can also find if you just subscribe, is just some of those tips and tricks as I'm learning and going through my own doctoral work. This is just an opportunity for you to kind of follow my journey and get some of those tips and tricks kind of along the way. So here are just a few of my takeaways from Leadership, Communication, and Social Influence. And so this blog post, I did title it Leading with Clarity, Mastering the Art of Communication. My biggest takeaway from this text was really that communication is key. As leaders, we know that communication, whether it be good or bad, is going to be the biggest thing that is going to drive how you feel about a leader. If they communicate well with you, you're typically going to have a pretty good relationship with that person. If they don't communicate well, whether that be through their words or what I learned through their actions, so those things that are intentional and unintentional, whether it be that body language, their facial expressions. One thing that I can share with you that you won't read about in my blog is that I at one point had an assistant principal that always looked at you with her eyes wide open, and she always looked like this, like she was mad. And one day I just asked her, I was like, "Are you mad at me?" And I felt comfortable enough to tell her that, and because we had a pretty good relationship, surprisingly. And she was like, "No, why?" And I'm like, "Because you're looking at me with your eyes wide open and you just look like you're angry. Like, what is up with you?" And so that's an unintentional piece. So through her unintentional communication, she was showing me with her facial expressions one message, and that was not the message that she was trying to get across. So communication as a leader truly is key when it comes to being in a position like that. One of my other takeaways, and something that I learned a whole lot about, was resonance, activation, and cultivation. Just as a theory in general, we know through some of my other work that I have shared with you, resonance is just making that connection with people. And then activation, which I'll get a little bit more into in my next takeaway, is that next piece in that process. So activation is when you are going to get that reaction from them. And then the cultivation piece is, okay, now we've got this idea that I've shared with you. Now you're getting some feedback from it. And now we've got to cultivate this idea. And now we've got to work through those pieces. With the activation, which is going to be that next takeaway for me, because this entire theory was something new to me. With the activation piece, this is where you're getting that buy-in from people. This is where you're going to get, are people in it with me? Are they not in it with me? And which is going to take me right into my next, or one of my next pieces, is that when you have people who are already on your team, that's not really where, like, yes, you want to continue to cultivate those relationships, but it's those that are going to be your toughest. When I was reading this part of Rubin and Gigliotti's text, I thought of a very specific PLC and a group of people that when it comes to activation, it didn't matter what I said, they were going to go against the grain. And it's those people that you really have to put a majority of your time in. Those are the people that you have to get creative with when it comes to activating them and getting those people behind you, because you know those other people who are just going to be like, oh yeah, we're on team you and we're ready to be behind you. And so it's those that are not going to be behind you right away that you really have to spend your time getting them on board with those messages or those new things that you're trying to put in place, or whatever the case may be. And so that was one of the biggest takeaways, something that I've experienced myself, but a really huge takeaway because it just kind of affirmed something that I already knew. My fourth and next takeaway was just that social influence as a leader, and we kind of know this, right? So social influence is going to be a huge part, especially when it comes with that theory of the resonance activation and cultivation piece. That affects not only that, and being able to resonate with your staff or your followers or whoever it is that you're leading, but it's also going to affect your communication. Just like the example that I gave earlier, if people already know that about the leader that I had, the assistant principal that I had, that she walks around with this look on her face all the time, she's going to be unapproachable. So her social influence is going to be unapproachable. And so that's already going to have a huge social influence on the people that she's trying to lead. And so when you think about who you are as a leader and how you carry yourself, that's going to be a tremendous influence on your ability to communicate, your ability to resonate with the people that you're trying to lead. And so it's just really important that you think about how you're influencing the people around you and how you carry yourself. And the very last thing that I think is going to be vital as a leader is just that you are an effective communicator at all times. This is a huge undertaking, to say the least, because especially in the school district or in a school setting, there's so much that we are up against nowadays that we probably never would have guessed that we would have been. And so, schools are put in situations that we've never had to be. And so communication, whether it be good or bad, we have to be effective, and we have to think through those situations and have a plan for all of those things. But when it comes to being effective in our staff, we have to have, various modes of communication. We have to think about not only our words, but our intentional and unintentional messages that we're putting off, thinking about our faces. I'm, one of those people that has, a lack of control of my facial expressions sometimes. And so it's being mindful of those things and knowing when to turn it off and be more mindful of those things. And so when you are leading others, your communication and all of the messages that you're putting out, whether you are, like I said before, intentionally or unintentionally doing those things, everybody is going to read them in different ways. And so it's really important to know and be effective with the message that you're trying to send. And so I will leave you with that. If you want to read more, I have much more at my on my blog post. And like I said, I did change the blog spot, so it is the Leadership Shift. I've also included my email if you want to subscribe to that. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to continue to see you again.